So I've talked a lot about using Todoist before as my task manager of choice, and I think Todoist is a really great application and has a lot of really interesting stuff. But about a year ago or so, Things 3 was released, and I downloaded and bought it when it first came out, and I thought, it's a really cool app, but it was missing a lot of key features for me. And over the last year, they've done a really good job of doing a lot of updates. And I'm thinking it's really, really impressive. But this last update that came out really pushed me over the edge as far as downloading and using it. This last update basically brought really cool native keyboard shortcuts to the app. And not just like shortcuts like a lot of other apps have, but like you can navigate the whole application. So I can use the arrow keys right now and move across the stuff. Here, I'll hold down the command key so you guys can kind of see all the keyboard shortcuts. There's even more. There's a keyboard shortcut to see all the commands because there's so much stuff. It'll actually, here, we'll hit it right now. Command Shift question mark. It'll actually take you to a web page here, and you can kind of see all the crazy stuff that you can do with it. There's so much stuff baked into it. And this really got me thinking that, hey, I should really give this app a shot. So I made it my task manager of choice. I've been using it for about a month now, maybe a little bit longer. Time, how does it work? It's really confusing. But it's overall, like, it's been a really interesting application to use. I've been really impressed by it. It's got a very native UI. So Todoist is one of those applications that's built for every single platform. It's built to work Windows, Android, iOS, Mac. It's built to work everywhere. And that can be a good thing and that can be a bad thing. If you move across all those platforms, that's fantastic. But for me personally, I live a lot of my life in iOS, on my iPad and my iPhone. So having something that's native, and if you're kind of an old school Mac person or you've been in the Apple community a long time, you know when an app is built specifically for, the Apple platform and no other platform, it feels different. It feels very special on that device. And maybe this is just kind of me in my head thing, but there's certain apps over time that they feel very special on the Mac or on the iPad or on the iPhone. And this to me is just one of them. And it does such a good job of design being very simple, but yet really easy to use. You can see all the icons and how everything's all broken up, and it's really interesting to me. So I really like that a lot. Like I said, the keyboard shortcuts, this thing is huge. As you kind of move through the app and stuff like that, you find new and more impressive keyboard shortcuts. You can hit the plus button right here, and you can see all the keyboard shortcuts for building new tasks and things like that. The keyboard shortcut menu changes contextually, try saying that word 5 times fast, based on what you're doing at that time. So that's pretty cool. Let's kind of get into it for a minute, and let me talk about how I use things, because I think task managers are one of those things. It's very deeply personal for how we all use task managers. We're all different. We all do different kinds of work, but I think overall, we can learn a lot from each other and how we use task managers. So let's start at the top and kind of work our way down. So the inbox. Whenever I'm out or doing anything and I just need to add a task, it always gets added to the inbox. The inbox is the one-stop place to go for everything. See, the inbox to me is where you dump everything. It's not necessarily a place you want to work out of, but it's, I'm on the road and I need to create this task and I can put it in its proper place later. That's where the inbox goes. So you can see I have a couple of things in here right now that I need to work on my super secret project. I had to take some tasks out of here so you guys didn't see them. I'm really excited about a project that's coming up. The next, I need to clean my patio. So like what I can do here is I can tap on it and, let's assign a date. So what you could do, I'll bring up the keyboard shortcuts again. You can see when to assign something is Command S. So we'll hit that. And you can kind of actually use the arrow keys to navigate through this. So something that's really cool in Todoist is right here. You have the today button. So this will assign it to be due today. That's really cool. But you also have this. That's this evening. And if we hit that, and we'll come back to this a little later and use it, but it'll assign it to a task that's this evening. So that's pretty cool. We'll take a look at that in a minute. But I need to clean off the patio. Let's do it Monday. I need to clean the patio Monday. And we'll just hit enter again, and it'll say that one to-do item has been moved out of the inbox. So we'll just, tap OK, and there it goes. It's gone. So now if we come over here to upcoming, we can see all of our upcoming tasks. You can see it got added to Monday there. So this is pretty cool. That's kind of what I use the inbox for, is to navigate through my projects and things like that, just kind of as a dumping ground. Like all tasks start here and then move to where they need to go from there, whether that's projects or a specific date. I was talking about the evening, so let's take a look at this again. So to create a new task, hit Command N, and then so I'm in the middle of a big Marvel movies rewatch. So right now I'm up on Ant-Man. So we're gonna watch Ant-Man tonight. Probably it'd help if I spelt that correct. We're gonna hit Command S again, and we're gonna go to this evening, and I'm gonna add it to this evening. So what it'll do, so we'll hit Enter again. It's gonna move it out of here again. Okay, and oops. We're going to move it out. We're going to go to today. So this is the today view right here. So this is all the stuff I need to do. So I need to write out my iOS 12 review plan. I have some big things coming later this summer regarding to iOS 12. I'll give you guys a hint. Siri shortcuts. It's going to be huge. I'm going to do a lot on that. You can also see put laundry away. You can also see I'm working on my things video. Well, I'm doing that right now. That's perfect. But then there's a breakup section down here that says this evening, and it just says Ant-Man. That's really cool. So you can kind of see the today view is like the stuff you should do during work. And the evening stuff can be kind of more broken up. Like it can be more relaxed stuff, or it can be stuff that's not as urgent. So you can put like, read a book or watch a television show or make something for dinner or whatever. Like stuff that's not really part of your work, but you still want to get done. This would be a really interesting place for that to go. So this is today. I already kind of started to show you guys upcoming, but what's cool about upcoming, so Todoist has something very similar. It's the week view, so it'll show you the next 7 days, basically. This will show you pretty much everything, and you can associate your calendar with it, so you can see calendar dates and stuff like that. But overall, like this is kind of cool. One thing that I like to do a lot is Sunday evening, I come in, and I sit down, and I really kind of go through all of what I'm doing for the next week. So what'll happen is I'm recording this on Saturday. So tomorrow night I'll sit down with Todoist and in this view and upcoming, and I'll plan out my week. So I'll plan out what projects I want to work on. So Friday night, I know I need to get ready to post a video. And I can't tell you guys which video it is. It may be this one, to be honest. But Tuesday night, I know what I really need to do is I need to edit the podcast. So something that's really cool too is you can take this plus button down here and you can just drag it around. And you can just drag it and create new tasks on a specific date, or you can even go and drag it in and create new projects or new areas and things like that. So that's kind of cool. So Todoist has very deep drag and drop capabilities, and I think it's it's really handy to keep in mind that this is here. So I'm going to drop it right here. We're going to put in here, edit ASOG. That's my podcast for those that don't know. That's a slab of glass. We're going to hold down the keyboard shortcut here, and we're going to assign a tag here. So you can see set tags is Command-Shift-T. So Command-Shift-T, and we're going to select podcast. So I just use the arrow keys to highlight that. I'm going to hit enter, and it puts it in the podcast tab. So that later, if we need to search for that, we can find that. That's kind of really interesting. So there is that. So upcoming view is really handy. Like I said, so personally for me, what I like to do is just Sunday night, sit down, plan out my week. Wednesday, I'll need to get ASOG to Jeff. So Jeff is my co-host for A Slab of Glass. I send him the link and he uploads everything. So I'm gonna make sure I can get him that Wednesday night, so he has plenty of time to get through everything and he's not waiting on me. I'm gonna assign a podcast tag to that. One other thing that you can do is you can add a note. So we'll come in here to the notes field and we'll say, give Jeff episode 10 of A Slab of Glass. So you can put a note in here as well. So that's kind of handy. Another thing you can do within a task, and we'll come back here to edit a slab of glass, is you can put checklists. So if you have multiple tasks within one task that need to be completed, you can do that right in here. So a checklist. So we need to process the audio, and I know I'm not doing a very good job spelling, too many things going on at once. Process the audio, import all clips to Ferrite, and then edit podcast, export as mono file. So here's all the steps that I need to do for editing the podcast. So there's the 4 steps right here. And now I can come through and I can just build the checklist or tap off each item as we go through the checklist. So that's kind of cool and kind of handy to have. Over here is also anytime. So anytime is stuff that you don't have a specific date, or it's assigned, or it's due today or assigned today. So you can kind of come through. So these project stuff, they don't have dates. There's also the stuff that's due today. So all that stuff up there is here as well. It's kind of handy. I don't use that spot as much. What is really handy is I like the someday tab right here. Someday is just projects or tasks or something you want to get to that don't have any real importance to them. They're not anything that needs to happen this very second. So like in here, I have redo media set up. So like my Plex server and things like that. Providence on my new iPad. I still haven't had a chance to get that set up. And I really want to go back through Swift Playgrounds. I think I do a lot of Swift programming, or not really a lot, but enough. And I really want to get better at it. I have a couple of ideas for apps. Maybe that might be that super secret project that I was talking about. Maybe. Wink. So I do want to get better at that. So this is all stuff I would like to get to someday when I have time, but it's not going to be today. Then you also have this logbook section, and this is kind of the end for this section over here. And this is just kind of the stuff that you've done. So this is stuff that you have checked off throughout the days, and you can kind of see throughout the week and stuff. I've had, whatever. This is all of June and stuff. So you can kind of see what's going on in May. So I started using things back in May, and it's been really, really handy. I really like that. So overall, logbook's cool. I don't find it incredibly useful, but still. There's also this quick find feature up here. So it allows you to find tasks or switch lists or even search for tags. So we made a tag earlier for podcast. So we're going to search for that tag right here. And now everything that's tagged podcast is right there. So if you're somebody that puts stuff all over the place and you don't really use projects or anything like that, you can use tags to really bring up all your tasks that you need to do for one particular thing, whether that's work or home or school or a podcast or whatever you want. It can be any of that stuff that you want to like. So we're going to go ahead, and you can kind of see back over here on the left-hand side. This is my projects. So right here are video ideas and stuff like that. This is upcoming video projects I want to work on. Shopping list, stuff that I need. I need to get some hand soap and ketchup out of both. Those are 2 things you don't want to be out of. Over here on my video projects, these are all the active projects I'm working on. So you can kind of actually see I have some of my iOS 12 plans right here, but these are going to get mixed up a little bit. I had a better idea, I think. You can come in here. So all of these right here are all my automation tasks and things like that for things. These are all automatically put in here. So I'm going to get to automation and things in just a bit, but this is all the stuff that's automatically put in here. Podcast and my unnamed movie podcast that I'm kind of working on with a friend of mine. So that's kind of my projects right here, and you can kind of go through. What's really cool about things that I really like is the ability to create areas. So if we come down here, we can hit this new area button right here, and we'll call this one day job. So we can create a new area called day job, and we're going to create a new project under day job. Here, we'll drag this, like I said, drag and drop big and things. So we'll do this right here. We're going to call this one PowerShell, because PowerShell is pretty cool. If you do some work in Windows environments or have to manage Windows computers, PowerShell is pretty cool. It even runs on the Mac, so it's pretty interesting utility. So there's that, so that you can put in tasks and stuff to learn. So one thing I got to do here. We'll do PS session, which I don't expect anybody to understand, but it's just going to be a task we put in there. So it's pretty cool. You can break up your projects by areas. So, I have day job, I have life, I have video projects, and I have my podcast stuff. And then the projects are underneath there. So overall, I think that's a really interesting way of organizing everything. I like it a lot. I think that's pretty cool. Let's go into workflow for a minute. So in workflow, I have a couple of things here. So I have this new tasks. It's these 3 right at the top that are the really interesting one. New tasks, add to shopping list, and new video for things. So basically, let's go back to the home screen here. Whenever I want to just enter a new task, it's I don't really open up things. I just want to import it right into the inbox. And I don't really want to see what's going on in my task manager. Because I'm somebody, if I see what's going on that day and if I have a lot going on that day, I'll start to feel overwhelmed and I shut down and I just don't get things done that I want to get done. So what I'll do is I'll come over here and in this workflow, I'll run new tasks. And we'll say the new task, we need to take out the trash today. So we'll say take out trash and just hit OK. And what that'll do is that'll just drop it in the thing and it'll take us back here. So now if we go back to things, we'll come back here and we'll go back to the inbox. You'd see it's just to take out trash. So now I can come in here and I can assign it to a date if I want. So we'll say this needs to happen today. We don't want the trash set, absolutely not. So you can kind of see that might be a little more helpful, especially if you're just somebody that's always on the go. You just keep adding things in there, and then at the end of the day, you can sit down, you can assign your task where they need to go. Most of the time, the tasks that I assign don't need to be done that day, so it's not that big of a deal if I don't, sit down and assign them a date until later on. Or I can even assign them to a project too. So I can go in here and so you can just drag it to where it needs to go in which project, but I don't have a project set up for that right now because I had to delete it. The other automation things that I use is I use this one right here that says add to shopping list. So this one right here will say, so what's something we need here? We need steaks. We'll hit OK. So instead of this going into our inbox, so you'll see here it's not in our inbox, it's actually in this project down here. It's in shopping list and steaks. So that will automatically drop something into shopping list. I don't really want shopping list items, things I need to go and buy at a store, to show up in inbox, just in case I haven't had a chance to go through there and I just pulled up to the store because I knew I needed something. That way I can kind of check the list really quick. It's just handy for me to have this one be separate. The other ones are fine as just going into inbox, but this one I like as something separate. The other automation thing I use is whenever I start a new video project, I have a list of tasks that I want to go through. And I talked about this with Todoist before, but I rebuilt it for things, and I think it's really interesting. So we're going to create a new project. We'll drop this right here. What would be a fun project? What would be fun to call this project? iPad history. This isn't going to be a real video. I'm just what I came up with. So we're going to copy that right there. Hit enter. So we have a new project called iPad history. We'll come over here, hit new video. And it'll ask us the project name, so I'll just paste it in there. That's why I copied it. It makes it a little easier. And it's going to run through, and it's going to add all these. So what'll happen is we'll actually see it flip-flop a bunch right here. It's actually really quicker if you put them side by side. This is one of the few workflows that's actually slowed down by automation. And this is something I really hope Siri shortcuts will fix, because it'll be system and it'll be cooked into the system, so it can just happen in the background and hopefully not to have to do this weird flip-flop thing all the time. It's fine for right now, but if I forget, like what I just did, if I forget to put them in split view, it does actually take a minute, and that can be kind of annoying, but you'll see here we're now done. So let's go back to things, and we'll pull up iPad history, and you'll see these are all the tasks that I do for when it comes to creating a video. This is all the steps I go through. This is so I can see where I'm at with any given project, what I need left to do. And this way I don't forget something. A lot of times I'll forget to upload the final version to my server, and then I have to go and re-download it from YouTube, and then it's not the proper quality. And this way I know everything's getting done. It's kind of a peace of mind thing, really. So that's more along the lines of what I want. So I'm pretty happy with that. Another thing about things is that it does have a great iPhone app as well. It's not just iPad only. It also has a really good Mac app as well, though I just use the iPad and the iPhone app for obvious reasons. I'm really happy with both of those, and I think those are really interesting apps. Now, you do buy them separately. Things is a paid-for upfront app, and you do have to buy them separately. I would definitely say it's worth it. I completely think it's a really good purchase, and I think it's a really, really great opportunity to do something. Really great application. But I can understand if this isn't something that you guys would like either. But overall, I really like it. There are a few other automation things I do as well. So I have like a draft list thing, so I can make a bunch of tasks and drafts, and I can send them over to things, and it'll just make a bunch of tasks. That's pretty cool. But overall, it's pretty much here. You can, if you really like, simple views, you can collapse this side view by hitting this button right here. So that's pretty much it for things. I think what I'm going to do in the future is I'm going to do a follow-up video focusing on the automation of things, especially if that's something you would like. If you guys have any questions about things, feel free to leave them in the comments. If you don't use things, I'd love to hear what task manager you do use. And if you do use things, I'd love to hear what you like about things. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like these videos, please like and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Have an awesome day.